So for this video, I want to get into the Fastify JSON Web Token plugin, how to register it and how to set it up, and then afterwards go into how to combine it with the Fastify cookie setup. So you have something, so you can have your tokens stored inside the cookies in your browser, making it more easy to work with for the clients. So yeah, there's a lot of different options to go through. I'm gonna show you a simple version of this. Yeah, so let's get to it. I have the index.ts and I want to create a new file called server. And here I want to make a class for the server where we can create methods that we can operate the server correctly. So let's get started here with some methods. So the first method could be something like public static async start. So this is the one we want to be calling for the server over here. So we could go server.start. With the start, we should consider what we want to actually start here. I could add some more properties. So this could be like a private static. Let's start the app actually. Would be a Fastify instance, and this can be directly instantiated here. Let's activate the logger. So other properties we could use here as well would be something like private static port. I usually use 3000, and we can do static host, and this would be a string of this. Cool. So these are like the standard properties we want to use here. For running the actual program, it's actually being instantiated, so we should just do the listening part. So we can do the app.listen for our server. This is actually an object for server dot, and let's do port. This is a port, so we have to do host server.host, and the reason we have it is async. We want to await this. So now we have the listening part, but we don't have any routes to be listening on actually. So let's create a new function here. We want it to be a private and static as well as the others, and init routes. So here we can handle our routes. We should do it like this. We can refer to the app dot, let's do a get on something like, yeah, let's just start with this. And we need to define the callback of the function. So this would be the request, Fastify request, and the response would be the Fastify reply type. So when this is done, we can do an arrow function here and define what we want to do. So for the tests, we can do hello world. So now let's get into the JSON Web Token configuration. So let's create another file called JSON Web Token TS. And in this file, we can do the same by creating a class for the JSON Web Token. And here we want to do kind of the same. Remember, this structure is not a mandatory. This is just how I do it. You can find your own way. So I like to bundle up the instantiation into a main method. So here I would call this for init setup, And for this method, I will call some other methods from in here. Let's do a private one, static, and let's register the JSON Web Token plugin like this. So here we need the Fastify instance for it to work. So let's pass that in. That's the Fastify instance, and here we can then say Fastify dot register, and now we will import the actual package. It's the Fastify JSON Web Token, and here we can also define some default settings. I believe it's mandatory to put in a secret here for it to work. We can also put it up here as the secrets. And of course this has to be secret, only you will know the value. I'll put in just a test value. I will say secret. We can also do minor stuff. You can put in like a sign for how long this should be a valid token. We can say 1 hour. And you can even name the token for the cookie. This is an object. You can see cookie name. This you can see my token. And should this be signed? Yeah, let's do it. So you can find more in the documentation for what configuration you can choose here. So when this is done, this modifies the Fastify instance, which we should also add up here. So we can just copy this here, and we can say register with the Fastify instance. So for this, now we have the plugin registered, and what this does is actually registering a couple of methods such as decode, sign, and verify, and I believe also JSON Web Token verify for the request, and JSON Web Token sign for the reply. So we will try to do this. So whenever we have it instantiated, we will also like to do maybe a global handler for making sure that we are authenticating all the requests coming through. So we can add a hook basically. So let's do add authentication hook. So for this hook, we need the Fastify instance. So let's do fastify.add hook, and we need to define which type here. We will do the on request. I believe it's the one that is one deferred thing that's called when a request comes through, that we check the authentication. So here we will add a callback function. We can do maybe an arrow function here, and we will need to do the request, Fastify request. We will do the response, Fastify reply. So on here we would like to make a try catch. Because if our check is failing, we have to catch the actual error. So let's do await for the request dot JSON Web Token verify. I think I'm missing a reference here. Is this added? It is. Okay, cool. So we should be able to do verify. So for this request, we will check whether the token is actually valid or not. If it's not, it will fail, and we can do reply. Oh, sorry, we did the response dot send. We can send an error. So this is where you will handle the actual error. If it's not authenticated, we should probably just reply with. We could do actually status for one and drop back the body of status unauthorized. Cool. So this has to be instantiated here as well. We can do this. Set the Fastify here. So when this is done, we have the plugin installed and we have the global hook for testing the incoming requests. So let's just test this out basically. So the init setup, we can put it in here as one of the first ones to call here, and we need the app to be passed through. And this is the JSON web token. We need to export this. So over here, we can say use this. Can we do the, yeah. So now this will be called. This will modify this application, and then we will listen. We need to also add the routes here. Let's do this afterwards. And it expects as well something. Oh, we need to refer it like this for the context, and we will have this route. So let's save our files, and I don't think I'm actually, oh, I'm not exporting this. So we need to import it like this. Cool. So for running it, we can, let's just open a terminal. We can do yarn run start. And so it seems like it's running on a different port than I expected. So it's because I'm actually not setting the values. This is the type I'm setting. So that's my bad, because these are types set like this. So we should do a number and restart this, and we should see the results. There we go. So when this is done, we will now see that we are listening on port 3000. And let's pull up our browser here. We can test this out. It says unauthorized, and we can go back to our JSON web token and put in a breakpoint here. We can run it again, and we will stop here and see what are our headers. And of course, we don't have any. So for testing this, it seems like it's working. We are getting the unauthorized back, status 401. But we might change stuff a little bit around here. So let's say we have the login token. We want to get the token from this endpoint, and we will like to have a endpoint for the protection protected endpoint. So this means that because this is a global handler, it will find even our login attempt and say this is not verified, authorized. So let's go to the request.url and see if this matches our login route. let's not let's just return nothing to skip the authorization step. So I put this in here, and we restart this, opens our browser and puts this in. We of course still gets this. Let's go to this instead. So here this matches. So we will go down here and return and never go further. So let's keep going. So now we do have steps for checking do you have a valid token, but we do not have any for actually assigning anybody a token. So let's get to that part. So let's go to our routes where we can refer. No, wait. We actually first let's add this step. So down here we can do a public static create JSON web token, and this will actually need the Fastify instance, and it will need, let's say we have an email, so we can say email, and that's a type of string. So whenever we create a token, we need to create a payload, and in the payload we can store information about the user, which can be useful for at the client, but also whenever the client sends the token to us, we can look at the payload, what is the user ID, and we can test it out. So let's do just the email, so we have something to identify the user with. So let's say email is equal to email. And whenever this is done, we can use this payload to let's do the Fastify instance. Say JSON Web Token. This is added by the plugin, and we can sign a token with this payload, and it will return a token. So let's return this token, and let's go back to our server and call this this. We mentioned before we need the application, so let's do the app, and let's do a test.com. Token will be returned here, and let's remove this part and say we want to return this token. So let's restart the application, and we will be able to call this, and we will have a token. And if you go to a website such as jsonwebtoken.io, we should be able to put it in here, and you'll see the expiration date here, and we will see this is when it's issued, and did it go away? Here is the actual email that we added, and this payload is kind of protected in the way that we have signed this payload, which means that if anybody mutates this at the client and passes this back, we will be able to identify it, and basically the JSON Web Token will be invalid. So that's why we do sign it, and this should be this value here. So what's next? Let's test this out. So one thing we can also do here is just add this will return as decoded. We can console log this as well. Um, so we can see the actual payload down here. So let's see what we can get doing here. So let's create a new request. I'm just using Postman for this purpose. You can use other clients if you want to. Before we were testing, we had this URL. We can put this in here, and let me pull up we had this token down here. So this is a token authorization. Let's put a breakpoint so we can see what happens. Oh, this is of course the creating part. So before I added a protected route, let's try this out. It actually manages to do something, it seems. Oh, it could not be parsed, it seems. Alright, so after a restart, I could request with this as a bearer. Let's just test without again. And then it fails. So if you put bearer for the authorization header and then the content after a space here, we can even see it here. I think the header. So this is where it picks it up and tests it out, and then we get the content. So this is one way to do it with this hook. We can also do it more specifically, actually. Let's add a decorator instead. So I'll go down here and let's create another private. Oh, actually this should probably be public static add let's do authenticate decorator. And here we need again the Fastify instance. So let's do Fastify dot add decorator. No wait, decorate, of course. So we could call this authenticate as a string, and then we need a callback function. So this will be something like this, an arrow function. We can await. So let's use the async. So again, let's try the try catch error. It's basically unknown type, and I forgot to do the params up here. This is the request. It's actually the same as these. So if you do response here, we can respond with something like for one, just like before. So this one. And as we did before, this is the same. So that we can actually just do this. So we can see the content again. So this one, let's call this up here, pass in the Fastify, and now we need to actually call this decorator on the route. So I don't want this to be protected, and I could do more endpoints that I don't want to be protective of, or I need to create different decorators for different authentication methods. But when this is done, we have the registering of the route. We can add a comma here and use the on the request. And then we can add an array of this .app, and now we can what's it called, put in the authenticate here. But because I'm using Typescript, we need to also tell Typescript that there is this new function that can be called. So at the very top, I can declare the module Fastify, and I want to change the interface of Fastify instance, because I want to add a authenticate method here with the request Fastify request, and I want to do the reply Fastify reply. This will respond with a promise which is void. Wait, so something like this should do. So here now we see that authenticate is registered, and we should try this out. So let's restart this. We have the protected here. We call it, and we just got right through. But actually, let's go past this. Let's go to the JSON Web Token. We have the decorator here that we registered. We can put a breakpoint here to see what happens. So it actually got into the Authenticate Decorator, and we can see the payload, which means that it's been verified and therefore returns the payload. We can also make a test actually to figure out what happens if the if it doesn't work and it throws an error, this function. So by going to our header here, we have the token. Let's change this, add a 9 here. So by running this, we can see the error here. It says you cannot, this is an invalid token. So you can trust it when it comes back here and returns a body, didn't throw an error, you know it's been verified. So the thing we have right now is a protected route which can authorize the token parsed in, but we can also add in some configurations for adding cookie to be set up. So if you go back to our JSON Web Token class and we add an additional method here, we can go do the same, public static, and then we need to register the new cookie cookie plugin. So I'm gonna call this one for register cookie plugin. So it's pretty much the same as we did before when we had this one, register the JSON Web Token plugin. So we need to go to the Fastify register, and then we need to put in the cookie Fastify cookie plugin imported here as a default import. We can add again some configurations, which is going to be the default configurations. Here we can also add in a secret. This can be a different one. I'm gonna say ABCD 1 2 3 4. We can add in the hook type, which would be again the on request. And for the parsing options, I have some I would like to add. There is the path, and we have the HTTP only. I want to set this to true, and the max age of the cookie I can put it as 1 day, which would be something like this. The secure, I want to put it as false for now. This only works if you are actually running it on the HTTPS, so we need SSL for it to work. And I want this to be signed. So with the registered cookie plugin registered in our Fastify application, we can now go back to our server where we are managing the routes, and let's try and add a new route. I'm gonna copy the old one here, and this one will be login cookie. So this is going to be the endpoint where we want to set the cookie, and then afterwards we want to authenticate it to make sure that we have this cookie. So for this endpoint, let's remove this part because we don't want to authenticate somebody who's not logged in just yet. And let's go ahead and create the token as we do on the above function. So JSON Web Token, create JSON Web Token, and use this app with, let's just go with a little bit different email. It's gonna put a 1 in there. So now we have the actual token, and let's now put this token inside our reply or response. This is done by using the set cookie method. I believe this method is added by the plugin, and let's we can name the cookie my login cookie, and we can then put in the token we want to put in there. And if you want to, you can pass in more properties, actually overriding the default configs that we set before, but I want to keep the ones we put in before, so I'm gonna leave it alone. And then we can just return hello world, or say status true, whatever. It doesn't really matter. So now let's go back to let's restart the application and go back here to run the next request. And I'm going to remove the authorization cookie. So when this is done, there is no protection running, and we will create the token and respond with it. So let's test it out. Okay, so it says the set cookie is not a function, and that's actually true when I think about it, because up here for our cookie plugin we did not put it in here to be run. So let's do it like this. I'm just putting it in after the registering of the JSON Web Token plugin. Let's restart the application, see what happens. So now we have the token created here. We are setting it the cookie here and responding with true. So let's see what happens in our Postman. We have the body here, which is true. Then we have a cookie. You can see my login cookie, which is what I put in here. And by looking at the data here, we should be able to copy this And if we go back to the web page we were before with the JSON Web Token IO, we put it in here and we can see it is now the new email, so we know it has been in here. Alright, so let's test this out on this protected endpoint. Let's put in something here, and I cannot do this. Let's put it. Okay, so in our decorator we still have breakpoints. So let's restart, and actually we just need to use the protected endpoint. That's like this. So it actually fails. No authorization was found. So it seems like I might have made a mistake by calling the token for my login token. If I put in my token and I go back for the JSON Web Token, here it knows it has to look for my token. So when it comes to this line and we need to verify the signature, it should be able to find the correct token at this time. So if I go back to my Postman, I put in the login cookie, I should get a new one. Oh, sorry, I need to disable this part again. So I still have the decorator here, and that should be fine. So if I restart this, I go to my Postman, I put in login cookie. I should get a new cookie here. I can check the console. Here I should have a response set cookie. There we go. It's my token. And whenever I go back and I use the protected route, we get a new error, missing token. Okay, so this seems to be causing me minor issues. So I might try something different here. You can try this out for yourself. If it doesn't work, then you can do the same as me. But I'm gonna try to do this without the built-in Fastify verified method, but use the what the plugin is built on top of. So here in the Fastify instance, I have access to the JSON Web Token. I would say library almost. This is where I can access the verify method, and if I supply the actual cookie in here, which is the JSON Web Token, I can get this verified. So let's just do this and try it out. So let's resend the request. I have the cookie here, and it is possible to decode this. So if you're able to get the other one working, that's more convenient. If you want to do it manually, you can do it this way. Yeah, so this will also work for the other one I put up here for the global one. If you want to do additional verification for this, well, authentication, I would go to the decoded data. If there's a user ID, you could find that one. If there's an email, you could look it up in your database. I'm not going to go into that part for this video, but here you get the gist of it, basically. So I think this covers basically what we were aiming for, getting a couple of endpoints, some to be protected, some to create the token for simulating the user login. You can even do a sign up where you automatically sign up or logs in a person by doing the set cookie on sign up if you want to that. So there is a lot of different options to work with. And yeah, this is very simplistic, but it's also to keep it simple for you guys. So this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. Yeah, and stay tuned for more.